Hey everybody, it is class time. So I'm trying to get so I'm not quite so backlit. Just make it darker in here, I guess, but that's a little better. Not that you really have to see me. Okay, it is, what is today? Let's see. Today's plan, the plan for today is we're going to look at an example final paper and use the rubric to fill it out. I'm also going to talk a little bit about your final exam and some just into the semester wrap up stuff. So do you guys have any questions before we get started about anything that's coming up? Okay, I'm going to take that as a no. Just checked my volume and I do have it turned up, so safe enough. All right. So I wanted to start off by talking about the final exam a little bit. This isn't anything to worry about. I think you'll be prepared for it. It's not too hard. It's only worth 5 points. So your main focus should be on your final paper, not your final exam. But I do have a final exam just as sort of an opportunity to give you a chance to reflect on the semester and what you've learned. So that is, I do have a final exam. It's just not something that's going to be super scary. So the 3 main concerns that you need to prepare for when we get close to finals week. I have to do this now, even though we still have 3 weeks, because we aren't going to have a class during dead week. Then it's spring break, and then it's finals week. So we have to do this now, even though it seems kind of early. So your 3 main concerns for finals week are preparing your final exam, finishing your final paper, which is a proposed solution to a local problem with research. And any late work that you haven't completed has to be turned in during finals week. No buts. That's my cutoff. Which, that's pretty darn generous if you ask me. So for your final exam, what you're going to be doing is reflecting on your experiences as a student and as a writer over the past semester and or year. So I just had a moment of panic, thinking I wasn't live. Let me make sure. I don't know if it shows me while I have my screen share. I have to check. Okay, I am live. Not that the live doesn't matter. It just makes it so much quicker to upload it to YouTube later. It takes a long time to convert and upload a recording. So, okay, so that way Samuel will be able to watch it because he does this class 100% by watching my videos. So he keeps me motivated to remember. That's my shout out to Samuel. All right, so back to final exam, what to do. If you took 1101 with me, it's exactly the same. So you're just reflecting on your experiences. You can reflect or keep your focus on my class, or if you want to, you can talk about other classes. I do want to hear about your experiences as a writer, but you could also talk about your experiences just as in general as a student and what it's been like. Yeah. These are questions that you can consider. You don't have to answer them all. You should at least probably answer one. This is sort of like your, these are just suggestions about things that you can write about. If you have other things you want to look at or think about, that's fine too. So how has your perspective on writing and writers changed? How and why? How have you improved and grown as a student and as a writer? And what do you still want to improve? So even though this is the last required writing class for many students, that doesn't mean that you will stop writing. There's going to be lots of writing that you're going to have to do in every discipline. So you're going to still want to continue to improve in some ways. Maybe just learning about how to write in your discipline better. So what to aim for in terms of length? Around the same length as your weekly papers. About 2 pages is good. You're gonna write write it on like a word processor and then upload it on Moodle. You can also write it by hand and take a picture of it. One of the fun things that when I do this in person is I have everybody write them by hand, and it's kind of like a little goodbye gift that you guys give me. So something I keep all of them from every year just because it helps me when I feel like, oh, I'm not doing a good enough job, they're not learning enough, something like that. It reminds me that students do get stuff out of my class. So I like it just for when I'm blue and down. I take a look at my old final exams and say, hey, I did make a difference after all. It's okay. So but it also is really good for you guys to reflect on your experiences. There have been some studies that show that when you take a reflective and an evaluative approach as part of your learning process, you remember things better. So it's a good process to always do with everything that you learn. I don't know why I put this in here. I just wanted to say I'll be cheering you on and happy you did it. Normally, you have to be pretty, your final has to be pretty darn lame to get a poor grade on it. So I tend to be pretty appreciative of you, and so that's what to expect when I grade these things. As usual, I'm, easygoing about things. I'm going to say this again because every year I say this and then it gets pushed one way or the other. Everything is due Friday, May 7th at 5:00 p.m. That is during finals week, the Friday of finals week. I have to get my grades submitted by the following Tuesday. So I cannot have you guys, I need that time to be able to grade. I didn't want to remake my meme to say Friday because last semester I did Tuesday. This time I'm giving you even more time. So, make the best of use of it as you can. So everything is due May 7th at 5:00 p.m. And at that point, the grade book will be closed and I will start my big heavy grading load for the end of the semester. Something else. Okay, wait a sec. That's my stopping point for final exam. Do you guys have any questions about the final before I continue on with a few other little details that we need to look at today? If you want to access to those questions, here, I'll show you this on Moodle really quick. I just pulled it up to make sure I had it there. If you go to Moodle to the day of the assignment, go away, drop down menu. If you go to the final exam, this is during the week of May 3rd through the 9th finals week. You have a place to submit your final paper and a place for your final exam. And of course, the prompt is here if you want to see those questions again to see more about what to do for your final exam. So it's all summarized right here if you need to take a look at that. All right. Well, hopefully that's pretty simple and you guys know what to expect. So we're going to keep going. I'm going to make another request, and this is every time we talk from here on out, you'll hear about the course evaluation. Please fill out the course evaluation. I looked and we had 8 as of this morning. I want more than 8. I would love to have 24, which is how many of you are enrolled. So what we do is you fill out the course evaluation, which it says English and Philosophy course evaluation spring 2021. It has like a little horn thing. So find that it's either on the right side of your Moodle page or at the bottom. And then you scroll down to the week of April 19th through April 25th and upload the assignment there. I'm going to see if I can put it in the last week too. If I can double up the location of assignments. I don't know if I can, but if I could, that'd be really good. What this is extra credit points. And so it's something that you'll be able to, just get 3 points of extra credit for doing. And that's like if making up an entire missed quiz or forum. So it's totally worth it. Please do it. Okay, so what I'm going to spend the rest of the hour talking about is your final paper. So it says a proposal for a local problem at ISU using research. I looked through and we had about half of you submitted a outline, and they all looked really good, and I'm excited to see what the final products look like. 8 out of 24 is not enough though, so I'm feeling kind of worried. And I hope that today, looking at an example will help to maybe inspire you, maybe give you the confidence to get to work on yours. I really don't want to go through all this again because we went through this on Friday, but then the better angel told me I probably should at least go through the nutshell of the assignment, which is that it should include a thesis. The thesis should follow this format of, to solve X problem, we should do Y because A, B, and C. Paper should be around 6 to 8 pages long. The example we're looking at just has 5 that I didn't notice until I committed to that. So that's interesting. You should refer to at least 5 sources. You should include sources from the opposing view. You should include your personal stake through a narrative storytelling element, and you should end with the works cited page. So that's the first part. Also, use this proposal format. Most of you that completed, the 8 of you that completed the quiz from last week, you've already gotten into this nitty gritty and kind of understand how to use this to help you. Though the rest of you, I really recommend using this outline format to help you fill in the blanks for your final paper. I think it makes everything a lot easier. And this is the rubric. It's really long. So what we're going to do is, do you guys remember at the beginning of the semester, we read an example and then I had you guys do a survey where you filled out the rubric, but it was on or it was a poll that we did. We're going to do that today again. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go through and we'll just read through all of these. Then we're going to read the example paper. And then after that, I'm going to do a poll and we'll see how you think that the example essay matched up. If we have time, I have another example that we can look at too. So let's just go through so that you can have all of these criteria in the back of your mind as you listen to the example paper. So first, we want to, the basic assignment criteria is the essay proposes a feasible solution to a local problem in higher education and contributes a unique perspective. So notice the feasible solution part. It's also a local problem and it should be related to higher education. And you should try to find something unique to say about it. If you go with a local problem, that is easier than if you try to do something really broad. Focus. This essay includes a clear thesis statement, and the essay's content relates back to the position outlined in the thesis. So basically, remember your thesis statement and make sure that everything relates back to your thesis statement. Then the next section is form. The essay uses some variation of the proposal form in which students outline the problem, refutes, and those that disagree that it is a problem, proposes a feasible solution, explains why it's the best solution, and refutes alternative solutions. So I will be actually looking to see if you have gone through and even if you haven't necessarily made headings to indicate your form, you should at least have all of these different sections represented somewhere in your paper. Then we have development. The essay contains enough examples and explanation to support the argument. Remember when we did 3X, exposition, example, explanation, and how you use exposition as your topic sentence, example, which is the kinds of evidence that you use to support whatever your position is, and then explanation, which connects example to the argument you're making. That's what we're kind of looking for your development. So don't forget to use the 3X format for developing your paragraphs and the sections of your paper. Persuasiveness. This one is sort of like, it's different people may say different things about how persuasive it is. the argument is convincing and interesting and contributes something new to the conversation. So other people may have disagreement about that, but I try to be, I try to read your papers from the audience point of view and to make that determination. Rather than thinking about whether it persuades me, I try to think about whether it would persuade their audience. So that's how I usually go about it. I also have a whole section on sources. The essay includes summaries, paraphrases, or quotes from at least 5 sources we read in class, and introduces each source's title and author. It includes a works cited page, at least 2 quotes, quote sandwiches, and signal phrases. This is one of those sort of like go down a checklist sort of thing that makes grading a little easier for me during that last week. If a student does all these things, then I can just say, good job. If somebody's missing something, then I can circle like you missed your works cited page, and then I can give you a 2 or something like that. And that's a quick way for me to grade during that finals week when I have a lot to grade. Then we have synthesis. So this is the same sort of thing that we did at midterm, where we're blending sources with your own voice and perspective, being sure that you indicate what they say, your sources, and what I say, and showing how they differ or converge or are similar. Ethos, pathos, and logos. The essay includes a blend of personal experience with clear argumentation and evidence from outside sources. So yeah, I'm going to be looking for your ethos, pathos, and logos. Organization. If the essay is easy to follow, then it's going to be organized. If you use the proposal form that I've indicated many times this semester, that will help your organization too. And finally, which is probably where it belongs at the very bottom of the list, editing. If it's easy to read and relatively free of distracting proofreading errors. The idea is that we don't even really want to have to think about it. Editing problems, you don't notice when there are no editing problems because you're just reading and thinking about the content, but they can be really distracting if there's a lot of editing errors. So that's why I go ahead and include at least one section on editing, but it's a pretty minor consideration as I look at your final paper. All right, do you guys have any questions about the rubric before we dive into looking at an example? It's really long.
It wasn't necessarily about the rubric, but for our rough drafts, are we going to get those back before our final papers are due?
I think so. So you're turning those in
tomorrow.
Right? And so my goal is to get them graded next week with response back so that you have time to incorporate any changes I recommend. So yeah, that's the goal of it.
Thank you.
Yeah, sure. Good question. Yeah. I know I've been kind of shady about getting late work graded, but I've been trying to keep up on the regular grading. So hopefully that'll help. What am I doing? Oh, okay. Now I know. So we're going to look at an example paper. This is from one of my students from, I guess it was last spring. And she did this in the midst of that crazy COVID beginning early days. And I was really, everybody that managed something, I was pretty proud of for them in the spring when things were so strange. What am I doing? I want to make it a little bigger. There we go. On my Zoom. Can you big in it? Let's see if that's enough. Oh, I want it. Okay, we'll do this. Okay, so this is a final draft by Lacey. She is graduating this semester, which is kind of neat. And hers is titled Scootin' to Class. So it's I enjoy titles, and so of course that made me smile. I love a silly, lighthearted title. Any kind of title. I am a title fiend. I love them. So I'm going to go ahead and just read this out loud and start here. We have all experienced parking at Idaho State University. Most of us can attest to many negative experiences because of the lack of available spots for the large number of attending students. We can all agree that we spend a lot of money to go to school, and the last thing we need to not be able to park with the expensive pass we bought. There are many alternatives to better parking, such as building more parking lots, a large multi-level parking garage, more use of the bus systems, or higher priced parking permits. To solve the problem for the lack of parking spaces, we should add in the addition of e-scooters. E-scooters will allow for kids to get to class on time. They are the cheapest option and a healthier option for our community and environment. I'm going to explain why e-scooters would be the best solution to the parking problem, least expensive, and address the opposing views of why others think that the e-scooters are a bad idea for college campuses. That's well, we'll talk about this later, but I think that if these two sentences are the thesis statement together, and my tendency would, if I would have had more time with Lacey, because again, it was last COVID pandemic craziness when all of this was happening, I let it go. But I would have urged her to try to get all of this into one sentence. And I would have asked her to just to take out words like, I am going to explain why. I don't really like it when people announce what they're going to do in their paper. So instead, just sort of say what your point is, rather than saying my point is, just say the thing that you're going to say. Okay, I'll just get in here. I'll stop talking. Okay, first off, think of a day in the semester that you are running on time for class before leaving the house. This may not have happened often, but I'm sure there is at least one. You get ready and head out the door with just enough time to stop and grab a cold lunch for later. You continue on your way to campus and begin looking for a parking spot. You drive around for about 10 minutes in and out of the big parking lots and across to the smaller lots. There is not a single parking space to be found. You quickly realize that class starts in 7 minutes and you will end up having to park up at the Holt Arena and walk down to lower campus. You head toward the Holt Arena and park as close to the direction you are headed to as you possibly can. In your head, you begin to talk to yourself as you start your journey to class. You have got to run. You're going to be late. You can't run. Only the weird kids run to and from class. Okay, then speed walk. Move those legs as fast as you can. As you're getting closer to the class, you realize you are going to be late. You have two options. Walk into class late after the teacher just lectured on being on time to class, or turn around and go home. We have all chose that second option more times than what is necessary. If you are like me, you do not want to walk in late and interrupt the class. This and many other reasons is why I'm proposing the idea of adding e-scooters to the Idaho State campus. E-scooters are being used in big cities and on some big campuses like ours. You may be familiar with the ones you can rent around the mall in Salt Lake City. They are simple to operate. You find one on the sidewalk, get on it, log into the app, scoot to your destination, and then parking the scooter right outside your destination for the next user. I believe this addition to our campus will improve the number of students attending class and getting to class on time. It will get many of the students outside and moving in the sunshine, which is what everyone needs after sitting in a desk during the day. Salt Lake City Tribune explains how the e-scooters have worked well for the city. They quote Baytar, and she's ridden the scooters at least 5 or 6 times since they dropped last Thursday, and prefers the ease and use and convenience and finding one compared to other transit options. She explains how much more convenient she finds them. SLC Tribute explains that there are more options because it can just be dropped where they want and not have to be taken back to a docking station or get off at a certain bus stop. Many community members also agree that they have made a great alternative to the community travel. It has reduced the number of cars, pollution, and congestion. It has also been a great alternative to sitting in the car and gets people out moving their body. The article from the Metro called "What are the Benefits Future for E-Scooters?" explains some advantages to the e-scooters. Alex Roman states, Scooters enhance mobility and improve cities by presenting a flexible, convenient car alternative for many such short trips. He explains how these have been very popular trips that are a great walking distance, but not needed to get in the car to drive. It helps achieve one's movement by 3 times the normal times, meaning you can get to your destination in 1 minute rather than 3. These have been a great resource for big cities where many people walk or take a subway rather than drive in their car. Now, in our case, it is a big campus, about 1,000 acres. We find ourselves parking at one end of the campus, going to class, and then moving our car to the other end of campus for the next class. But what if we did not have to? What if we could get out and get more fresh air and exercise while getting to class on time? On the other hand, it is the most cost-effective option. The first option that came to mind was a large parking garage. While that seems to be the best fit for our growing campus population, it is definitely not cheap. Take a guess on how much that would cost, assuming that they were starting on bare ground. I did some research and found Fixer.com. This website estimates the price of just about anything you're wanting to build, given the size of your project. Fixer.com states such a building would run at an average of 8.56 million to complete. This is the estimated cost of a 140,000 square foot parking garage, about the average size. This is assuming the highest quality of material is used so that it will hold its integrity for many years. While this seems to be a good option and would provide us enough spots for all students and faculty in the same student union building lot, the cost is not feasible to just throw out. Now, despite all the people that are in favor and have enjoyed the use of scooters, there are many not in agreement with them. An article out of Utah from desert.com explains some of the complaints or worries that they have. Salt Lake City is very divided on the use of e-scooters. Many of the pedestrians in an 800-person survey said that they were fine with the scooters, while 204 said they should be banned on the sidewalks. They stated, if you are concerned about people riding on the sidewalk, then make the streets safe so riders will ride there. I have felt very nervous riding the streets because I don't feel drivers are aware of scooter riders. This is the main reason for debate. While the scooter riders don't feel safe on the roads, the pedestrians don't feel safe on the sidewalks with the scooters around. On Idaho State campus, we all know that safety comes first. There will need to be guidelines for riding the e-scooters to ensure the safety of everyone. We cannot make everyone happy, but there can be rules in place and a contract signed if the student plans to participate in the use. This way, we can ensure that they are being treated right, pedestrians are safe, and drivers can be aware of safe places to drive and watch for traffic. On the Idaho State University website, under the Parking tab, you can find more resources. They explain the different ways to currently get around and how to use campus parking. I found this quote: whether you live on campus or off, whether you drive to campus 5 days a week or you're just visiting for the day, find out about parking at Idaho State, and consider sustainable alternatives to driving alone. They explained that there are options for commuting to campus and how to park. There are options of buying parking passes, paying for hourly parking, using the Bengal shuttle, or daily passes. Idaho State uses these options to try to decrease the number of single drivers, which would greatly help the problem we are facing. But for many, it is just not practical with our kids, jobs, and busy schedules. Melissa Ezerick wrote an interesting article for the University Business. Ezerick explains some of the advantages and disadvantages to using e-scooters on campus. She states a quote from Tony Lucas: when we can't get students to campus in a reasonable amount of time on public transport, they decide the light trail isn't a good fit for them, and they get back in their cars. They are showing just how hard it is to get kids on campus because of the struggle they face to get to school. As I said, there are many reasons that make the school provided options not practical for all students. Many kids show up and are unable to find the resources to get them to the other side of campus. Oftentimes, this results in the student going home. Out of all the options to improve parking at Idaho State University, e-scooters will be the best option. It will allow for more students to in classes, less stress, and on time. E-scooters will not change the amount of parking spots that are available, but will make it so you can park further from the building and make it to class on time. It will be more cost effective for the university versus the $8.56 million parking garage to solve the problem. Lastly, what better way to get outside and enjoy some fresh air and get exercise? For my mental health, I am way happier if I can spend time outside in the sun and attend the college classes that define my future career. And that's the end. We have her works cited now. Scroll through those. They need a little bit of work, but they're okay. And that's it. Do you guys want, I guess maybe I should have made a copy of that available to you guys. Let me put that into the chat really quick in case you want to look at that. Okay, that should be sending. So if you want to pull that up to look at, you can. What we're going to do now is I'm going to give you, and it might take you a few minutes, so we'll be in some awkward silence while I pull up the poll for you guys to take. The poll is going to have all of the different elements from the rubric that I'll be using to grade these things. And it's always fun to see how you guys grade your peers. So I'm going to shut up and let you play with the rubric and let me know what you think about it. And it might be 5 minutes and all before everybody's done. So, okay, shut up, Elise. I guess I can actually talk instead of typing. Yeah, and I think I figured this out earlier this semester, but I think that the citation is like this. I don't remember if there's a comma. think it's like that. I can't remember if it's a period or a comma after personal interview. It might be a period, but I can't remember for sure. But yeah, anything that's you can think as creatively about your sources as you want to. All right, so this is what we have our results. You guys actually, it's always interesting to see. You guys are closer in your estimations on this than often happens. So it's always fun when that happens. When I took my teacher training, we did, I probably have told you this before, but the first week we all of us teacher training, writing teachers, we all had to grade the same set of essays, and every paper got every grade from all of us. So it's really subjective. So when something like this happens where you get a lot of people agreeing, then it's like, whoo, that's good. That's great. So hopefully that's showing that I have steered you guys in a very particular direction at this point. This is actually the one that has the most conflict, and it's just so one of you thought that the proposal needed some work. That it may be that it's I wonder if the feasibility is the question here for this person. But most of you thought this was a feasible solution to a local problem, and with a unique perspective. So I would agree with that. As I was going through all of the examples, this one nailed this part of it, the assignment. Small, feasible, local, more than many of the others. Some of the others may have been more persuasive or more exciting or whatever, but this one really shows you a good example of how you can tailor to a specific audience and a specific location in your argument, which I really like. It's super specific to ISU. The thesis statement, you guys heard me say that it's actually in a couple of sentences, and it's not my favorite thesis statement I've ever seen. So I understand why you have, why we ended up with 3 or 4 of you saying that it gets a 3. But I get why you would say it's 5 too, because it's clear. It relates to the tech topic. So yeah, the difference there makes sense to me. And again, a lot of times with grading these things, I have to kind of put into consideration, well, what has happened this semester? What have we learned? Have I done a good enough job teaching thesis statements? Things like that. So I do take that kind of stuff into consideration too. But if I can't find a thesis statement, this would probably be marked down. Next section. Can you guys all see this? I'm assuming you can see all of it. Thanks, Riley. Okay. The next section is on form. And we have a little stronger, 7 of you gave it a 4, 2 of you gave it a 3. I think that it didn't necessarily follow the order exactly. She kind of rearranged a couple of things and put like all of the opposing views together rather than putting them, rearranging that. And that's totally okay. It might have made it easier to read. We had headings, but on the other hand, I think she made it flow really well. And I don't know if it would have, like for us grading, it would have been easier if it had headings. But in terms of giving this to a real life audience, they wouldn't know about that and they wouldn't necessarily care. So those are just some considerations to think about as we look at this. So yeah. Development. The essay contains enough examples and explanation to support the argument, 3x. 4 of you gave it a 4. 3 of you gave it a 3. I think I probably would have put it right on the line between the two. So I think you guys did good. It's technically the page requirements are 6 pages. But this one is a good example of a paper that has incorporated its sources, has done a good job, providing personal experience and development. And so quote sandwiches, there's a few quotes that I was like, that's not a good sandwich, Lacey. And so the second piece of bread is an example of explanation. And so that would be a developmental issue. But other than that, I thought it's probably right on the line for me. Persuasiveness, the argument is convincing and interesting. 7 of you thought it was a 4. 2 of you gave it a 3. I was probably right on the line between those two as myself again. So yeah, I forgot to have you guys give her a grade at the end. We'll do that in chat. I just realized how this sort of evens out to a grade in the end. Yeah. Sources, the essay includes summaries, I'm not going to go through all of that. I probably would have put it right on the edge between the two because it has all the sources and stuff. But a couple of the quote sandwiches weren't super strong, and her citations weren't like in the correct format. They were just sort of like author, title copied and pasted, and then URL, which, you know what? It's not cheating when you do that. So if you get to the point where you have to get it in and you don't have time to get a perfect works cited written, do that by all means. I'm saying that I'm going to put it as in between the 3 and 4 for that. So I just can't give a 4 out of 4 to someone who doesn't have perfect citations. I just can't do it. There was something else. Oh, and she needed to italicize all of her titles of she put the articles in quotation marks, but she didn't italicize, I don't remember what her sources were, but let's say the New York Times. She said those names, but then didn't put those in italics. And so that's another little issue with the works cited stuff. This one is really similar. And so I think that, again, I would probably put it right on the end because we have the they say, I say things where some of her sandwiches weren't perfect. And that's really a big theme for this semester, is coming out of the class doing that well. Ethos, pathos, and logos. I probably would have given it a 4. And again, this is because I know Lacey, she was a nurse. She started off my class being very things in boxes. And when she did 1101 with me too. And I really pushed her really hard to be creative and stuff. And so what she did here was totally unexpected for me. So I would have probably, given her 4 just to say look how far you've come. Yeah. So sometimes I do make little shifts based on where students are and where they've come from. Organization, easy to follow. I would agree with you guys here. It's pretty easy to follow. There was one section where it's like, what is this section doing? I don't understand this. But for the most part, it flowed really well. Editing, I would have given it a 3 because especially reading it out loud, I noticed a lot of little flubs. But again, it's it wasn't something that made a big difference in the end. It was still one of the ones that I remembered a year later. So that's good. All right. So I'm going to, before we go, use the chat and tell me what grade you would have given this paper. How many points was it? Is the final paper? Do you guys remember? Let me go look. The final paper is 30 points. And so give me a number whatever it would be, 25 out of 30 or 18 out of 30 or whatever you think it is. What do you think? Riley says a 30. Yes. No, that's not your grade. That's the number of points. Okay. Yes. So it is 30 points. And sometimes I have to get out my calculator to remind myself, okay, so what is it? Where does a B sit? Nikki says 25 out of 30. Okay. That's an 86. If you look at it, Riley said 25 out of 30. That's an 86. I want to see some more examples or some more grades. I'm actually going through and like reminding myself what grades look like. So like a 28 out of 30 is a 93. 27 out of 30 is a 90. 26 divided by 30 is an 86. We're getting a lot of 25s. Oh, Austin, you gave her a 20 out of 30, a D? You're gonna give her a D, Austin? Oh, that's okay. You're entitled to your opinion. Rhiannon gives her a 28 out of 30. Let's see. How many is that? Sarah gives her a 28. Haley gives her a 26. Good, everybody. 1, 2. Okay, well, I think it's not everybody, but it's enough. So what I should have looked up and figured out what I gave her. But I think I gave her a 28 out of 30, if I remember correctly. So 28 out of 30 is a 93. So that would have been me. So I'm easier than you guys are, apparently. And in fact, a lot of times when I have in person, I will come in with a blank rubric and have students fill them out for themselves. And then I use those to help me grade. And I'm always impressed by how much harder you guys are on yourselves than I am on you. So, yeah. So you can breathe easier. Although this is like, yeah, this is a good example for you guys to look at and to aim for, in terms of what you can do for your final paper. So it has room for improvement. Everything does. Like my classes, every time I do something, I'm like, gosh, I should have done that differently. Everything has room for improvement, but this is a good example to look at. In many ways, it's better than the example that I wrote and provided for you guys, just because it's so incredibly concise and to the point. So I like that about it. Oops, I don't have anything else to say today. On Friday, I'm going to go through and we're going to do kind of a course summary. I'll probably talk a little bit more about finals and what to expect. And but other than that, we are almost done, guys. We are so close. So yeah, I'm done. So I'll see you all on Friday. Have a good couple of days. Get to work. I'll hang around if you have any questions.
Thank you.
Yep. Thanks, Austin. Do either of you guys have a question? Hi, Rhiannon.
I might. Hold
Okay.
on. I'm just looking at my proposal form. Okay, so I'm doing like stress and anxiety amongst college students.
That's
and
a
like
good one.
my solution